Hi, you're engaging in the ELA Guidebooks unit, The Diary of a Young Girl. The purpose of this video is to learn more about Anne Frank and the secret annex she and her family used to hide in during the Holocaust. This will help you make historical connections as you read The Diary of a Young Girl. Be sure to have your handout available and something to write with for the video. Anne Frank was born in the German city of Frankfurt in 1929. Unemployment was high and poverty was severe in Germany, and it was the period in which Adolf Hitler and his party were gaining more and more supporters. Hitler targeted the Jewish population and blamed them for the problems in the country. The hatred of the Jewish community and the poor economic situation made Anne's parents, Otto and Edith Frank, decide to move to Amsterdam. There, Otto founded a company called Opekta that traded in pectin, a gelling agent for making jam. Before long, Anne felt right at home in Amsterdam. She learned the language, made new friends, and went to a Dutch school near her home. In September 1939, when Anne was 10 years old, Nazi Germany invaded Poland, and so the Second World War began. Not long after, on May 10, 1940, the Nazis also invaded the Netherlands. Slowly but surely, the Nazis introduced more and more laws and regulations that made the lives of Jewish people more difficult. For example, Jewish people could no longer visit parks, cinemas, or Jewish shops. The rules meant that more and more places became off limits to Anne. All Jewish children, including Anne, had to go to separate Jewish schools. Jewish citizens had to start wearing a Star of David on their clothing, and there were rumors that they would have to leave the Netherlands. When Margot, Anne's sister, received a call to report to a labor camp in Nazi Germany in July of 1942, her parents were suspicious. They did not believe the call was about work and decided to go into hiding the next day in order to escape persecution. In the spring of 1942, Anne's father had started furnishing the hiding place in the annex of his business premises at Prinsengracht 263. The Anne Frank House in Amsterdam is one of the most well-known annexes. 8 people would live there, mainly on the second and third floor. The only way to enter the hiding place was through the secret entrance, hidden behind a revolving bookcase. The business premises in the main house continued into the ground floor and the first floor of the annex. A casual visitor of Prinsengracht 263 would never notice what went on behind the bookcase. The secret annex was occupied by Otto Frank, Edith Frank, Margot Frank, Anne Frank, Herman Van Pels, August Van Pels, Peter Van Pels, and Fitz Pfeffer. To keep Nazis at bay, the 8 residents maintained a strict and well-planned schedule and lived in constant fear. During their nearly 2-year stay in this annex, Anne kept a journal of everything that happened to her. Now you're ready to describe the secret annex and explain why Anne's family went into hiding. Pause this video to record your answers on your handout at the first stop sign. Then hit play when you're ready to continue. Let's review. You may have included that 8 people lived mainly on the second and third floor. The only way to enter the hiding place was through the secret entrance, hidden behind a revolving bookcase. The family went into hiding to avoid persecution after Anne's sister was summoned to attend a labor camp. Anne started writing in her diary, but before she was done, she and the other people in hiding were discovered and arrested by police officers on August 4, 1944. To this day, we do not know the reason for the police raid. Despite the raid, part of Anne's writing was preserved, and some friends to the family removed documents before the secret annex was emptied by order of the Nazis. The people from the secret annex were put on transport to the Auschwitz concentration and extermination camp. The train journey took 3 days, during which Anne and over 1,000 others were packed closely together in cattle wagons. There was little food and water and only a barrel for a toilet. Upon arrival at Auschwitz, Nazi doctors checked to see who would and who would not be able to do heavy forced labor. Around 350 people from Anne's transport were immediately taken to the gas chambers. Anne, Margot, and their mother were sent to the labor camp for women, and Otto was sent to a camp for men. In 1945, Edith Frank died of starvation. A few months later, Margot and Anne Frank died of typhus fever that spread through the camps. Otto Frank somehow survived Auschwitz and returned to Amsterdam after the war. Now you're ready to answer the question, what happened to the residents of the secret annex? Pause this video to record your answers on your handout at the second stop sign. Then hit play when you're ready to continue. Let's review. You may have written that the people in hiding were discovered and arrested by police officers on August 4, 1944. They were put on transport to Auschwitz concentration and extermination camp. The only survivor of the Holocaust was Otto Frank. In 1957, the Anne Frank House organization was established, and its main purpose was to restore the building and open it up to the public. Today, people can visit the Anne Frank House, a biographical museum dedicated to Anne Frank. To many people, the room in the secret annex where Anne Frank wrote her diary is the highlight of their visit. Thanks to the conservation work, the authentic traces of the people hiding in the secret annex will be kept for future generations. You will use this new knowledge as you engage in the ELA Guidebooks unit, The Diary of a Young Girl. When you finish this video, be sure to turn in your completed handout to your teacher.